Tilpavistam Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shishimad Bhakti-Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Nitilpavistam Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shishimad Bhakti-Vedanta Vaman Goswami Ki Jai. Nitilpavistam Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shishimad Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitilpavistam Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shishimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitilpavistam Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Siddhanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitilpavistam Aksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitilpavistam Chiranta Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nitilpavistam Sarva Vamashla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Gopal Raghunath Shri Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Nama Chaitanya Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gora Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradash Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kunj Shama Mona Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Dandavat Pranams Madhavi Didi and Ganga Didi Hari Bo. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Viṣṇu Adaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad-Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Viṣṇu Padaya Kṛṣṇa Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yang Prabrajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipadaha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Bhinedustang Sarva Bhutta Hridayam Munimanatosmi Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Shrindvatang Svakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridantasto Yabhadrani Vidhunoti Suhrit Satam Nashta Prayeshvabhadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tavai Vasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvang Nayamang Charanantikam Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshai Kshiptastakama Ditaranga Madhe Kripa Mai Tvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanaravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dandavat pranams or say Shri Mataji Hari Bol. Triple Hari Bol. Alright, so I'm just going to read the translations of all the previous verses that we read on the second chapter. Prayers by the demigods for Lord Krishna and the womb. That's the name of the second chapter. So, Shukadev Goswami said, under the protection of Magadharaj, Jarasandha, the powerful Kaṁsa began persecuting the kings of the Yadu dynasty. In this, he had the cooperation of demons like Pralamba, Baka, Chanura, Trinavarta, Agasura, Mushtika, Arishta, Duvida, Putana, Keshi, Dhenuka, Banasura, Narakasura, and many other demoniac kings on the surface of the earth. All familiar names. Some of their relatives, however, began to follow Kaṁsa's principles and act in his service. After Kaṁsa, the son of Ugrasen, killed the 6 sons of Devakī, a plenary portion of Kṛṣṇa entered her womb as the 7th child, arousing her pleasure and her lamentation. That plenary portion is celebrated by great sages as Ananta, who belongs to Kṛṣṇa's second quadruple expansion. To protect the Yadus, his personal devotees, from Kaṁsa's attack, the personality of Godhead, Viṣṇu, the supreme soul of everyone, ordered Yogamaya as follows. The Lord ordered Yogamaya. O my potency, who are worshipable for the entire world, and whose nature to bestow good fortune upon all living entities, go to Vraj, where there live many cowherd men and their wives. In that very beautiful land, where many cows reside, Rohini, the wife of Vasudeva, is living at the home of Nanda Maharaj. Other wives of Vasudeva are also living there incognito because of fear of Kaṁsa. Please go there. Within the womb of Devakī is my partial plenary extension known as Sankarshan or Shesh. Without difficulty, transfer him into the womb of Rohini. O all auspicious Yogamaya, I shall then appear with my full 6 opulences as the son of Devakī, and you will appear as the daughter of Mother Yashoda, the queen of Maharaj Nanda. By sacrifices of animals, ordinary human beings will worship you gorgeously with various paraphernalia, because you are supreme in fulfilling the material desires of everyone. Lord Kṛṣṇa blessed Maya Devi by saying, in different places on the surface of the earth, people will give you different names, such as Durga, Bhadrakali, Vijaya, Vaishnavi, Kumuda, Chandika, Kṛṣṇa, Madhavi, Kanyaka, Maya, Narayani, Ishani, Sharada, and Ambika. The son of Rohini will also be celebrated as Sankarshan because of being sent from the womb of Devakī to the womb of Rohini. He will be called Ram because of his ability to please all the inhabitants of Gokul. And he'll be known as Balabhadra because of his extensive physical strength. Thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya immediately agreed. With the Vedic mantra Om, she confirms that she would do what he asked. Thus, having accepted the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she circumambulated him and started for the place on earth known as Nanda Gokul. There she did everything just as she had been told. When the child of Devakī was attracted and transferred into the womb of Rohini by Yogamaya, Devakī seemed to have a miscarriage. Thus all the inhabitants of the palace loudly lamented, "Alas, Devakī has lost her child." Thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the supersoul of all living entities and who vanquishes all the fear of his devotees, entered the mind of Vasudeva in full opulence. All right, so that's where we read up to. Let's make this dark, easier on the eyes. Sabibra Porusham Dhama Brajamana Yataravi Durasadoti Durdarsho Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha. While carrying the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of his heart, Vasudeva bore the Lord's transcendently illuminating effulgence, and thus he became as bright as the sun. He was therefore very difficult to see or approach through sensory perception. Indeed, he was unapproachable and unperceivable, even for such formidable men as Kaṁsa, and not only for Kaṁsa, but for all living entities. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word Dham is significant. Dham refers to the place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. In the beginning of wait, did we already read this? Oh, I think we already read this. I recognize this. Let me just check the... Sorry, we're reading from 18. Haribol Prajumna Prabhu. Wow, you're on time. Okay, sorry guys. I'm going to skip this purport because we already read it. Tato Jagan Mangalam Achutang sorry. Tato Jagan Mangalam Achutang Sham Samahitam Shura Sutena Devi Tadhara Sarvatmakam Atmabhutam Kashtayatanandakaram Manasta. Thereafter, accompanied by plenary expansions, the fully opulent Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all auspicious for the entire universe, was transferred from the womb of Vasudeva to the mind of Devakī. Devakī, having thus been initiated by Vasudeva, became beautiful by carrying Lord Kṛṣṇa, the original consciousness for everyone, the cause of all causes, within the core of her heart, just as the east becomes beautiful by carrying the rising moon. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As indicated here by the word Manasta, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was transferred from the core of Vasudeva's mind, he is transferred from the core of Vasudeva's mind or heart to the core of the heart of Devakī. Yeah, this word Manasta can either mean heart or it can mean mind. So, we should note carefully that the Lord was transferred to Devakī not by the ordinary way for a human being, but by Diksha initiation. Thus, the importance of initiation is mentioned here. Unless one is initiated by the right person, who always carries within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot acquire the power to carry the Supreme Godhead within the core of one's own heart. The word Achutangsham is used because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Shad Aishvarya Purna, full in the opulences of wealth, strength, fame, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation. The Supreme Godhead is never separated from his personal opulences. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 539, Ramadi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan. The Lord is always situated with all his plenary expansions, such as Ram, Nrsimha, and Varaha. Oh, wait, 1 second. Madhavi Didi is saying something. Anyways, just checking if... Oh, the screen's not working. Let me check the connection. Is it working now? Maybe it's working now. Sorry, I think the internet connection is not so stable today. Dandavat pranam Sudevi Didi. And also Madhavi Didi, Dandavat pranam. Okay. Right, I think it's working now, right? All right, so where was I? Let me start over. The word, as stated in the Brahma Samhita 539, Ramadi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan. The Lord is always situated with all his plenary expansions, such as Ram, Nrsimha, and Varaha. Therefore, the word Achutangsham is specifically used here, signifying that the Lord is always present with his plenary expansions and lenses. There is no need to think of the Lord artificially as yogis do. Dhyanavastita targatanena manasa pashyanti yam yogina. At Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 12:13-1. Yogis meditate upon the Supreme Person within the mind. For a devotee, however, the Lord is present, and his presence need only be awakened through initiation by a bona fide spiritual master. The Lord did not need to live within the womb of Devakī, for his presence within the core of her heart was sufficient to carry him. One is here forbidden to think that Kṛṣṇa was begotten by Vasudeva within the womb of Devakī, and that she carried the child within her womb. When Vasudeva was sustaining the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, he appeared just like the glowing sun, whose shining rays are always unbearable and scorching to the common man. The form of the Lord is situated in the pure unalloyed heart of Vasudeva. The form of the Lord situated in the pure unalloyed heart of Vasudeva is not different from the original form of Kṛṣṇa. The appearance of the form of Kṛṣṇa anywhere, and specifically within the heart, is called Dham. Dham refers not only to Kṛṣṇa's form, but to his name, his form, his qualities, and his paraphernalia. Everything becomes manifest simultaneously. Thus, the eternal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead was transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devakī, exactly as the setting sun's rays are transferred to the full moon rising in the east. Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, entered the body of Devakī from the body of Vasudeva. He was beyond the conditions of the ordinary living entity. When Kṛṣṇa is there, it is to be understood that all his plenary expansions, such as Narayan, and incarnations like Lord Nrsimha and Varaha, are with him, and they are not subject to the conditions of material existence. In this way, Devakī became the residence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is one without a second, and the cause of all creation. Devakī became the residence of the Absolute Truth, but because she was within the house of Kaṁsa, she looked just like a suppressed fire, or like misused education. When fire is covered by the walls of a pot or is kept in a jug, the illuminating rays of the fire cannot be very much appreciated. Similarly, misused knowledge, which does not benefit the people in general, is not very much appreciated. So Devakī was kept within the prison walls of Kaṁsa, and no one could see her transcendental beauty, which resulted from her conceiving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Commenting upon this verse, Sri Viraragavacharya writes, Vasudeva Devakī Jatarayor Hridayor Bhagavata Sambandha. The Supreme Lord's entrance into the womb of Devakī from the heart of Vasudeva was a heart-to-heart relationship. Sadevaki sarva jagan nivasa bhuta nitarang nareje bhojendra gehegni shike varudha saraswati jnana kaleyata sati. Dandavat pranams Haripriya Didi and Gargaraji. Dandavat pranams Haribo. Devakī then kept within herself the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the foundation of the entire cosmos. But because she was under arrest in the house of Kaṁsa, she was like the flames of a fire covered by the walls of a pot, or like a person who has knowledge but cannot distribute it to the world for the benefit of human society. Purport. In this verse, the word jnana kala is most significant. Knowledge is meant for distribution. Although there is already much scientific knowledge, wherever scientists or philosophers awaken to a particular type of knowledge, they try to distribute it throughout the world, for otherwise the knowledge gradually dries up and no one benefits from it. India has the knowledge of Bhagavad, but unfortunately, for some reason or other, this sublime knowledge of the science of God was not distributed throughout the world, although it is meant for all of human society. Therefore, Kṛṣṇa himself appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and ordered all Indians to take up the cause of distributing the knowledge of Bhagavad-Gita throughout the entire world. Jare deko tare koho Kṛṣṇa upadesh, amar agyay guru, hoya tar e desh. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa as they are given in Bhagavad-Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. That's Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya, Lila 7:128. Although India has the sublime knowledge of Bhagavad-Gita, Indians have not done their proper duty of distributing it. Now, therefore, the Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement has been set up to distribute this knowledge as it is, without distortion. Although previously there were attempts to distribute the knowledge of Bhagavad-Gita, these attempts involved distortion and compromise with mundane knowledge. But now, the Kṛṣṇa conscious movement, without mundane compromises, is distributing Bhagavad-Gita as it is, and people are deriving the benefits of awakening to Kṛṣṇa consciousness and becoming devotees of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, proper distribution of knowledge has begun, by which not only will the whole world benefit, but India's glory will be magnified in human society. Kaṁsa tried to arrest Kṛṣṇa consciousness within the house, Bhojendra Gehe, with the results that Kaṁsa, with all his opulences, was later vanquished. Similarly, I have a hard time saying this word. Similarly, the real knowledge of Bhagavad-Gita was being choked by unscrupulous Indian leaders, with the results that India's culture and knowledge of the Supreme were being lost. Now, however, because Kṛṣṇa consciousness is spreading, the proper use of Bhagavad-Gita is being attempted. Tang viksha Kaṁsa prabhayajitantaram virochayanting bhavanam shuchi smitam ahaishame prana haro harir guham dhruvang shritoyan napureyam idrishi. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead was within her womb, Devakī illuminated the entire atmosphere in the place where she was confined. Seeing her jubilant, pure, and smiling, Kaṁsa thought, "The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Viṣṇu, who is now within her, will kill me." Devakī has never before looked so brilliant and jubilant. Purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad-Gita 4:7, "Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham." Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. In this age, at the present moment, there are inordinate discrepancies in the discharge of human duties. Human life is meant for God realization, but unfortunately, the materialistic civilization is stressing only the senses of the body, not understanding the living force within the body. As clearly stated in Bhagavad-Gita, Dehi nosmin yata dehe. That's Bhagavad-Gita 2:13. Within the body is proprietor, the living force, which is more important. But human society has become so fallen that instead of understanding the living force within the body, people have become busy with external things. This is a discrepancy in humans. Therefore, Kṛṣṇa has taken birth or taken shelter within the womb of the Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement. Men of Kaṁsa's class, therefore, are very much afraid and are busy trying to stop this movement, especially in the Western countries. One politician has remarked that the Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement is spreading like an epidemic. Checked immediately, within 10 years it may capture governmental power. There is, of course, such potency in the Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement, as stated by authorities in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 22. Kali Kale Rupe Kṛṣṇa Avatar. In this age, Kṛṣṇa has appeared in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement is like wildfire all over the world, and it will go on doing so. Men who are like Kaṁsa are very much afraid of the movement's progress and acceptance by the younger generation. But as Kṛṣṇa could not be killed by Kaṁsa, this movement cannot be checked by men of Kaṁsa's class. This movement will go on increasing more and more, provoking movement to remain firmly Kṛṣṇa conscious by following the regulative principles and the primary activities of chanting Kṛṣṇa mantra regularly. I like how Srila Prabhupada gave that. Provided the leaders of the movement remain firmly Kṛṣṇa conscious by following the regulative principles and activities of chanting Kṛṣṇa mantra regularly. Very nice. Okay. What verse are we reading up to? I just forgot. Let me just check. Hare Krishna Raj Bhuvan Yadav. Reading up to 26. Okay. Tasmin karani mashume yatantro na vihanti vikrama striya swasur guru matya vadoyang yasha shriyam hantyanukalamayu. Kaṁsa thought, what is my duty now? The Supreme Lord, who knows his purpose, paritranaya sadhunam nashayata dushkritam, Bhagavad-Gita 4:8. The Lord, who knows his purpose, will not give up his prowess. Devakī is a woman. She is my sister, and moreover, she is now pregnant. If I kill her, my reputation, opulence, and duration of life will certainly be. Purport. According to Vedic principles, a Brahman, an old man, and a cow should never be killed. It appears that Kaṁsa, although a great enemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was aware of the Vedic culture, of the fact that the soul transmigrates from one body to another, and that one suffers in the next life according to the karmas of this life. Therefore, he was afraid of killing Devakī. She was a woman. Therefore, he was afraid of killing Devakī, the woman. She was his sister, and she was pregnant. A Kshatriya becomes famous by performing heroic acts. But what would be heroic? Killing a woman who, while confined in his custody, was under his shelter. Therefore, he not wants to act drastically by killing Devakī. Kaṁsa's enemy was within his womb, but killing an enemy in such a nascent state would not be an exhibition of prowess. According to Kshatriya rules, an enemy should be fought with proper weapons. Then, if the enemy was killed, the victor becomes famous. Kaṁsa very conscientiously deliberated upon these facts, and therefore refrains from Devakī, although he is completely confident that his enemy had already appeared within her womb. Sa esha jivan kalu sampareto vartetyanta nrishangsitena dehe mrite tang manuja panti gantatamondham tanumanino dhruvam. A person who is very cruel is regarded as dead even while living, for while he or after his death, everyone condemns him. After the death of a person in the bodily concept of life, he is undoubtedly transferred to the hell known as Andatama. Purport. Kaṁsa considered that if he killed his sister while living, he would be condemned by everyone, and after death, he would go to the darkest region of hellish life because of his cruelty. It is said that a cruel person like a butcher is advised not to die. While living, a cruel person creates a hellish condition for his next birth, and therefore not live. But he also is advised not to, because after death, he must go to the darkest region of hell. Thus, in either circumstance, he is condemned. Kaṁsa, therefore, having sense about the science of the soul's transmigration, deliberately refrains from killing Devakī. In this verse, the words gantatamondham tanumam are very important and require extensive understanding. The Jiva Goswami in his Vaishnav Toshanitika says, Tatra tamanina papina iti dehatma papabhinivesho bhavati. One who lives in the bodily concept thinking, I am this body, involves himself by the very nature of his conception in a life of sinful activities. Anyone living in conception is to be considered a candidate for hell. Adanta gobir vishitam tamisram punah punascharvita charvanana. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 7.5.30. That's Prahlad Maharaj's purpose. One who is in a bodily concept of life has no control over sense gratification. Can do anything sinful, to eat, drink, and be merry and enjoy a life of sense gratification, not transmigration from one body to another. Such a person does whatever he likes, and therefore, being subject to the laws of nature, he suffers miserably again and again in different material bodies. Yavad idang manovai karmatmakam yena sharira bandha. In the bodily concept of life, a person is kanda, or conditioned by karma. And as long as the mind is absorbed in karma, one must accept a material. Sharira bandha, bondage to the material body, is a source of misery. Kleshadha. Nasadu manye yata atmano yam asan api. Though the body is temporary, it always gives one trouble in many ways. Is now unfortunately based on Tanuli concept of life, by which one thinks, I belong to this nation, I belong to this group, I belong to that group, and so on. Each of us has, and we are becoming increasingly involved, individually and nationally, in the complexities of karmanubandha. Maintenance of the body implicated in karmanubandha. Jiva Goswami says that those in the concept of life are papi, sinful persons. For such sinful persons, the destination is the darkest region of hellish life. Ganta tamon. And Bhagavad-Gita 16 naradhamam kship mudha jani janmani among men are cast by me into the ocean of demoniac species of life. Attaining repeated birth among the species of demoniac life, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. A human being is meant to understand the value of human life, which is a boon obtained through many, many births. Therefore, one must free oneself from tanumani, the concept of life, and realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Iti ghoratamar bhavat sannivritta swayam prabhu aste pratikshans taj janma harer vairanubandhakrit. Shukadeva Goswami said, deliberating in this way, Kaṁsa, although determined to continue in enmity toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead, refrains from the vicious killing of his sister. He decided to wait until the Lord was born and then do what was needed. Asina sang vishangstishan punjana paryatan mahin chintayano hrishikesham apashyatan mayang jagat. While sitting on his throne or in his sitting room, while lying on his bed, or indeed while situated anywhere, and while eating, sleeping, or walking, Kaṁsa saw only his enemy, the Supreme Lord Hrishikesh. In other words, by thinking of his all-pervading enemy, Kaṁsa became unfavorably Kṛṣṇa conscious. he became Krishna conscious. Purport. Srila Rupa Goswami has described this finest pattern of devotional service as anukulyena Krishna Shilanam, or cultivating Krishna consciousness favorably. Kaṁsa, of course, was also Krishna conscious, but because he regarded Krishna as his enemy, even though he was fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, his Krishna consciousness was not favorable for his existence. Krishna consciousness, favorably cultivated, makes one completely happy, so much so that a Krishna conscious person does not consider Kaivalya Sukham, or merging into the existence of Krishna, to be a great gain. Kaivalya narakayate. Kaivalyam narakayate. For a Krishna conscious person, even merging into the existence of Krishna, or Brahman, as impersonalists aspire to do, is uncomfortable. Kaivalyam narakayate tridasha pur akasha pushpayate. Karmis never hang to be promoted to the heavenly planets, but a Krishna conscious person considers such promotion a will-o'-the-wisp, good for nothing. Durdantendriya kala sarpa patali protkata dangshtrayate. Yogis try to control their senses and thus become happy, but a Krishna conscious person neglects the methods of yoga. He is unconcerned with the greatest of enemies, the senses, which are compared to snakes. For a Krishna conscious person cultivating Krishna consciousness favorably, the happiness conceived by the karmis, jnanis, and yogis is treated as less than a fig. Kaṁsa, however, because of cultivating Krishna consciousness in a different way, that is, animically, was uncomfortable in all the affairs of his life, whether sitting, sleeping, walking, or eating. He was always in danger. This is a difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. A non-devotee, or atheist, also cultivates God consciousness by trying to avoid God in everything. For example, so-called scientists who want to create life by a combination of chemicals regard the external material elements as supreme. Such scientists do not like the idea that life is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. As clearly stated in Bhagavad-Gita, Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta. The living entities do not arise from a combination of material elements such as earth, water, air, and fire, but are separated portions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can understand the living entity as a separate portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by studying the nature of the living... did I not say if? If one can the living entity as a separated portion of the Sea of Godhead, by studying the nature of the one can understand the nature of the Supreme Godhead, since the living entity is a fragmental sample of the Godhead. So one has to understand that the jiva is a separated portion, vibhinaksha. By understanding that, one can understand the supreme nature of Godhead. So first we understand that we first understand about ourselves that we're vibhinaksha, and then we can understand the nature of the Supreme Godhead. Since the jiva is a fragmental sample of the Godhead. But because atheists are not interested in God consciousness, they try to be happy by cultivating Krishna consciousness in various unfavorable ways. Although Kaṁsa was always absorbed in thoughts of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was not happy. A devotee, however, whether sitting on a throne or beneath a tree, is always happy. Srila Rupa Goswami resigned from office as a government minister to sit beneath a tree, yet he was happy. Takta Turnam Ashesha Mandalapati Shrenim Sada Tuchavat. That's Shrada Goswami Ashtakam, verse 4. He did not care for his comfortable position as minister. He was happy even beneath a tree in Vrindavan, favorably serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. For a non-devotee, the world is full of problems, whereas for a devotee, the entire world is full of happiness. Vishvam Purna Sukhayate Vidhi Mahendradish Chakitayate Yat Karunya Kataksha Vaibhavavatang Tam Gauram Eva Stuma. This comfortable position of a devotee can be established by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yasmin stito na dukhena guru napi vichalyate. It's Bhagavad-Gita 6:22. Even when a devotee is superficially put into great difficulty, he is never disturbed. Brahma bhavashchatatraitya munibir naradadibhi devai sanucharai sakam girbhir vrishanamaidayan. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, accompanied by great sages like Narad, Devala, and Vyas, and by other demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna, invisibly approached the room of Devakī, where they all joined in offering their respectful obeisances and prayers to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can bestow blessings upon everyone. Purport. Dvau bhuta sargo lokesmin daiva asura eva cha. Padma Purana. There are two classes of men, the Daivas and the Asuras, and there is a great difference between them. Kaṁsa, being an Asura, was always planning how to kill the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his mother Devakī. Thus, he was also Kṛṣṇa conscious. But devotees are Kṛṣṇa conscious favorably. Viṣṇu bhakta smrito daiva. Brahma is so powerful that he is in charge of creating an entire universe. Yet, he personally came to receive the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhava, Lord Shiva, is always jubilant in chanting the holy name of the Lord. And what to speak of Narad? Narad Muni Bhajaibina Radhika Ramanan Nami. Narad Muni is always chanting the glories of the Lord, and his engagement is to travel all over the universe to find a devotee or make someone a devotee. Even a hunter was made a devotee of Narad. Srila Sanatana Goswami, in his Toshani, says that the word Naradadivi means that Narad and the demigods were accompanied by other saintly persons, like Sanaka and Sanatana, all of whom came to congratulate or welcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even though Kaṁsa was planning to, he too awaited the arrival of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pratikshans taj janma. Okay, so we're going to end with this verse. Satya, let me just check everything's running okay. Looks like my stream has been cutting out, huh? Hari Baruch Manjari Didi, no problem. Satavratam satya parang trisatyang satyasya yonim nihitam cha satte satyasya satyam rita satya netram satyatmakam tvam sharanam prapanna. This is a very long purport. Hey, where's the translation? Oh, wow. Wow, that's interesting. I've never seen that before. That's text 26. I'm wondering if it's in the other one also, like that. Okay. Here it has a footnote. The personality of Godhead never deviates from his vow. What is his vow? It is Yada yadahi dharmasya glanir bhavati parata abhyutanama dharmasya tadatmanam sajamyaham. To honor this vow, the Lord appeared. Okay. The demigods prayed, O Lord, you never deviate from your vow, which is always perfect, because whatever you decide is perfectly correct and cannot be stopped by anyone. Being present in the three phases of cosmic manifestation, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, you are the supreme truth. Indeed, unless one is completely truthful, one cannot achieve your favor, which therefore cannot be achieved by hypocrites. You are the active principle, the real truth, and all the ingredients of creation. So you're the active principle, the real truth, and all the ingredients of creation, and therefore you're known as Antaryami, the inner force. You are equal to everyone, and your instructions apply for everyone. Your instructions apply for everyone for all time. You are the beginning of all truth. Therefore, offering our obeisances, we surrender unto you. Kindly give us protection. This purport is super long. Wow. Okay. Purport. The demigods, our devotees, know perfectly well that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the true substance, whether within this material world or in the spiritual world. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam begins, therefore, with the words Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and that verse ends with Satyam Parang Dhimahi, the first verse. Vasudeva, Kṛṣṇa, is the Param Satyam, the Supreme Truth. The Supreme Truth can be approached or understood by the Supreme Method, as declared by the Supreme Truth, Bhaktyamam Abhijanati Yavan Yashchashmi Tattvata. It's Bhagavad-Gita 18:55. Bhakti, devotional service, is the only way to understand the absolute truth. For protection, therefore, the demigods surrender to the Supreme Truth, not to the relative truth. There are persons who worship various demigods, but the Supreme Truth, Kṛṣṇa, declares in Bhagavad-Gita 7:23, Untavattu phalam tesham tad bhavat dalpamedasam. Men of small intelligence worship, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Worship of demigods may be useful for a limited time, but the result is antavat, perishable. This material world is impermanent. The demigods are impermanent, and the benedictions derived from the demigods are also impermanent, whereas the living entity is eternal. Nityo nityanam, chetanas chetananam. Every living entity, therefore, must search for eternal happiness, not temporary happiness. The words Satyam Parang Dhimahi indicate that one should search for the absolute truth, not the relative truth. While offering prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nrsimhadev, Prahlad Maharaj said, Balasya neha sharanam pitaro nrsimha, nartasya chagadham udandvati majjatono. Generally, it is understood that the protectors for a child are his parents, but this is not actually the fact. The real protector is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Taptasya tat pratividhir ya'iha yahi anjaseshtas tavad vibho tanubhratam tvad upekshitanam. Sorry, I read that weird. If neglected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a child, despite the presence of his parents, will suffer, and a diseased person, despite all medical help, will die. In this material world, where there is a struggle for existence, men have invented many means for protection, but these are useless if the Supreme Personality of Godhead rejects them. Therefore, the demigods purposely say, Satyatmakam tvam sharanam prapanna. Real protection can be attained from you, O Lord, and therefore we surrender unto you. The Lord demands that one surrender unto him. Sarvadharma parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. It's Bhagavad-Gita 18:66. And he further says, Sakrid eva prapanno yas tavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadamyetad vratam mama. If one surrenders unto me sincerely, saying, My Lord, from this day I am fully surrendered unto you, I always give him protection. That is my vow. That's from Ramayana. Yuddhakanda 18:33. The demigods offered their prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he had now appeared in the womb of his devotee, Devakī, to protect all the devotees harassed by Kaṁsa and his. Thus the Lord acts as Satyavrata. The protection given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be compared to the protection given by the demigods. It is said that Ravan was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but when Lord Ramachandra went to kill him, Lord Shiva could not give him protection. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, accompanied by great sages like Narad and followed by many other demigods, had now invisibly appeared in the house of Kaṁsa. They began to pray for the Supreme Personality of Godhead and select prayers which are very pleasing to the devotees and which award fulfillment of devotional desires. The first words they spoke acclaims that the Lord is true to vow. As stated in the Bhagavad-Gita, Kṛṣṇa descends upon the material world just to protect the pious and destroy the impious. That is his vow. The demigods could understand the Lord had taken his residence within the womb of Devakī to fulfill this vow. They were very glad that the Lord was appearing to fulfill his mission, and they addressed him as Satyam Param, or the Supreme Absolute Truth. Everyone is searching after the truth. This is the philosophical way of life. The demigods give information that the Supreme Absolute Truth is Kṛṣṇa. One who becomes fully Kṛṣṇa conscious can attain the Absolute Truth. Kṛṣṇa is Absolute Truth. Relative truth is not truth in all the three phases of eternal time. Time is divided into past, present, and future. Kṛṣṇa is truth. Kṛṣṇa is truth always, past, present, and future. In the material world, everything is controlled by supreme time in the course of past, present, and future. But before this creation, Kṛṣṇa was existing, and when there is creation, everything is resting in Kṛṣṇa. And when the creation is finished, Kṛṣṇa will remain. Therefore, he is the absolute truth in all circumstances. If there is any truth within this material world, it emanates from the supreme truth, Kṛṣṇa. If there is any opulence within this material world, the cause of the opulence is Kṛṣṇa. If there is any reputation within this material world, the cause of the reputation is Kṛṣṇa. If there is any strength within this world, the cause of such strength is Kṛṣṇa. If there is any wisdom if there is any wisdom and education within this material world, the cause of such wisdom and education is Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, Kṛṣṇa is the source of all relative truths. Devotees, therefore, following in the footsteps of Lord Brahma, pray Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami, worshipping the Adipurush, the supreme truth Govinda. Everything is performed in terms of three principles: Jnana, Bala, Kriya, knowledge, strength, and activity. In every field, if full knowledge, full strength, and full activity, an endeavor is never successful. Therefore, if one wants success in everything, one must be backed by these three principles. In the Vedas, Shvetashvatar Upanishad 6.8, there is this statement about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, natat samascha bhyadikascha drishyate, parasya shaktir vividhaiva shruyate, sabhaviki jnana bala kriya cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead does not need to do anything personally, for he has such potencies, anything he wants done will be done perfectly well through the control of material nature. Sabhaviki jnana bala kriya cha. Similarly, those who are engaged in the service of the Lord are not meant to struggle for existence. The devotees who are fully engaged in spreading the Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement, more than 10,000 men and women all over the world, have no steady or permanent occupation. Yet we actually see that they are maintained very opulently. The Lord says in Bhagavad-Gita 9.22, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paripasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemang vahamyaham. For those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, I carry to them what they lack and preserve what they have. The devotees have no anxiety over what will happen next, where they will stay, or what they'll eat, for everything is maintained and supplied by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has promised, Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. That's Bhagavad-Gita 9.31. From all angles of vision, therefore, in all circumstances, if one fully surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no question of one struggling for existence. In this connection, the commentary by Śrīpad Madhvacharya, who quotes the Tantra Bhagavat, is very meaningful. Sach shabda uttamam bhruyad anandantiti vadet yeti jnanam samudishtam Purnananda drishistata atritvachcha tadadanat satyatya chochate vibhu. Explaining the words Satyasya Yonim, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Krishna is the avatari, the origin of all incarnations. All incarnations are the absolute truth. Yet the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the origin of all incarnations. Diparchireva hi dashantaram abhyupeta dipayate. That's Brahma Samhita 546. There may be many lamps, all equal in power. Yet there is a first lamp, a second lamp, a third lamp, and so on. Similarly, there are many incarnations who are compared to lamps. But the first lamp, the original personality of Godhead, is Krishna. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. The demigods must offer worship and obedience to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But one might argue that since the Supreme Godhead was within the womb of Devakī, he was also coming in a material body. Why then should he be worshipped? Why should one make a distinction between an ordinary living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead? These questions are answered in the following verses. And we'll hear those answers to the questions tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Giridhari, Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Gurudev Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Maha-Bhagavat Srila Gaurkishore Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Srila Satchid Ananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Dashagunath, Shara Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari, Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai, Namachay Shri Hai Ras Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Kshetra Mandal, Gaura Mandal, Braja Mandal, Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund Ki Jai, Shri Amuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya Ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai, Priyai Keshavashacha, Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi, Sattvatai Namo Namaha, Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sandubhya Vacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai, Jai Vasudeva Devakī Ki Jai, Jai Shri Krishna Chandra Ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All right, everybody, see you all tomorrow. Oh, you missed, yeah, Prajumna Prabhu? Okay, that's great. If you can join next week. Yes, yes, please join. I'm nearly finished making the video it's the longest video I've made yet. It's 25 minutes. But it's the video where I get into the verse Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Ataiva Shanto in our Rupa Shiksha program. So I just need to add in a few subtitles and then I'll be putting it out. So yeah, please watch that one if you get a chance. Alright, Haribol. Haribol Manjuli Didi. Alright, Dandava Pranams everybody. See you tomorrow.